Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my review of One Piece Chapter 707. Now, to start things off, I want to take a look at the color panel, and I really enjoyed it. The creativity, the giant swings, the rainbow, the fish that all the guys are writing. But there was one thing that bothered me. Take a look at Robin's legs and tell me that those aren't unnaturally long. I know that's like depth perception, like it should be closer, so it should be bigger, but her feet are sticking out on top of Luffy's swing, and her legs would be like 3 times as long as her torso. So I don't know. The animation for that bothered me, but that's probably it. I really enjoyed it. As the actual chapter begins, we are thrown right into the midst of Block B in that fight, and we have the tactician Dogma, or who I like to call Eggman. He is talking and he's explaining the Fighting King Elizabello's strength. Now, he looked like an interesting character to me, and I was always confused as to why he always had his fist up, putting up a fight, but it makes sense now because he can charge up his punch and he can break through a fortress with one punch. But for the cost of that, he has to charge it up for 1 hour. That's probably why he's always like this, because he's charging it up. Now, the real question begins, who is that punch going to belong to, or is he even going to be able to land that punch on anyone at all? Because so far, no one in this block has proven to be the dominant warrior. It seems relatively well-rounded. We have a definite couple of high contenders, Bellamy, Bartolomeo, and a man I'm about to talk about in a minute. But other than that, we have characters we've just barely been introduced, and we don't really know that much about. But Bellamy, he has pretty much a 200 milli and berry bounty. He brought back his stuff from Sky Island. He's gotten stronger. We don't know how strong. And then we have Bartolomeo, the crazy rookie, who trashed a vice admiral. So we know that both of them are very, very strong. But I do think that if either of them was hit with King Elizabello's punch, they would be knocked out. But I also thought of the possibility, what if, since Bellamy is a spring man, and springs can kind of take energy like that, what if he takes the punch, and because springs can compress and then expand out, he takes the energy from that punch and he hits somebody else with it, or back at Elizabello. Just a possibility, because I think that'd be really interesting, because we are expecting Elizabello to throw a punch at somebody, but taking Bellamy's powers into a really creative way into attacking somebody else. Another thing caught my attention in this chapter. Immediately after, we have the Dressrosa guard captain Lepanto, and he's trying to attack Bellamy, and Bellamy's like, whoa, what are you doing? You're one of Dressrosa's guards. And this really surprised me, because this is the first time that I have ever seen someone who is not extremely loyal to Doflamingo. We have seen Monet pretty much give up her life for him. Caesar will do a lot for him. And all these people are so bound to what Doflamingo says. And the people of Dressrosa as well. They probably still treat him as a king, even though he stepped down, which still remains a mystery, but we want to figure that out. So Lepanto proceeds to attack Bellamy, and then Bellamy does this punch with a spring in his arm, which you've never really seen him do before. We've just seen him bounce around, but that made so much sense to me, just having a spring punched arm, like punch, to pack it with extra power. You know, maybe he's been more creative in ways like that to use his spring fruit. And I'm sure there's many other ways, or else that couldn't be the big reveal about his power, because he's obviously gained strength. There's a lot of ways a spring could do that, like I said, taking maybe Elizabello's energy punch or other attacks and channeling them back. It's possible. We shall see. There was also a surprise reveal of sorts, because I wasn't expecting to see these in the Colosseum. The fighting fish. Now, we know these surround the waters of Green Bit, and that's what makes it dangerous and apparently impossible to go to Green Bit. So I was waiting to see the fighting fish then, but now they have them in the Colosseum, in the water surrounding the ring, if you get knocked out. And they look like the bulls if you're a matador with a cape. That's what they reminded me of initially, so that's possible. But you can't fall in there because they're dangerous. But something that caught my eye was a caption that said that this is the little school of fighting fish. So maybe these are child or teenager fighting fish. And the big, really dangerous ones are the one at Green Pit. It's possible, I don't know, but now we see what they're like, and they look menacing, and they look like they can do some damage, and so they are definitely going to take a part in this Dressrosa arc. Proceed to see several of the strong people in the tournament fighting. Jeet and Abdullah, they do their thing. The Steel Whip guy. The Fishman caught my attention because he spoke of Jinbei, so he could be friends with Jinbei, so that could come into play in the future, possibly with him and Big Mom, something like that. He seems very strong. He did like a Jinbei punch where he punched and then they just kind of slowly just fly off, I think. We'll see. But he could be interesting. He had a really long name. I'm just calling him Hack from what I remember. Steel Up Dude. And then we have this unknown gladiator who's going by the name of Ricky, a former gladiator. And he has a one-sword style. And so these people are questioning if he's a samurai from Wano Kuni because of that, because all the gladiators receive training with a sword and a shield. But I don't think so. And nobody really knows who he is, but they can tell he's really, really strong. But there's one guy in the crowd, an older-looking man, and he says, I've seen him before. It's been a long time. I can't remember where I see him. Now, what was his name? And all this leads me to believe, and I think Oda made it possibly a little too obvious if this is going to be true, but I believe this is Kyros. If you take a look at his statue back when Rebecca was showing Luffy the statue, he doesn't have a shield in his statue. He's going like this, and he's holding a sword like this, and it's going down like that. He has his sword, and only one sword. And he is very, very strong. So this leads me to believe if it is Kyros who went undefeated for all this time, he could win Block B. But who knows how Bartolomeo and Bellamy will take in play, Elizabella's punch. There's so much going on in Block B, I can't wait to find out who will be the winner of this. All of a sudden, the crowd is getting really mad. Like, what is he doing? He's just laying there. And we see Bartolomeo. He's just chilling there on the ground, doing nothing. I have no idea why no one's fighting him. I'm sure people are scared of him. But I think someone would at least try to sneak attack on him. I don't know. But he's just chilling, doing whatever he wants. That's pretty interesting. And we go up to Luffy and Cavendish. And I think it's funny how Luffy called Cavendish Cabbage, which I love the names that are coming up for Luffy because he can't. These really long names, he just gives these people nicknames and they're hilarious. All the nicknames in One Piece are hilarious. But he's talking and he's like, oh, I just wish at least somebody from the hated generation would show up. Maybe they're wearing a mask like Burgess. And Luffy's like, yeah, that's weird. He's sweating and all nervous. We don't even know how strong Cavendish is, truly, but I thought that was a very funny exchange. Now, the ending for this chapter, I was not expecting this. This caught me by surprise. I figured it would come eventually, but this really caught me by surprise. Luffy and Cavendish are just talking, and Don Chinjao, the really big dude from the Chinjao family, he just walks by, he's like, huh. Goes over, he's like, hey, how's Garp doing, Straw Hat Luffy? And then Luffy, you know, typical first reaction, oh, you know Gramps, Gigi? And then Cavendish and him are like, whoa. And Cavendish just gives him this look like, what? You know, because he's ready to kill him. And then Don Jinjao's like, yeah, he almost killed me in the past several times. So I'm curious how the heck he knew that was Luffy. My guess is he probably has an unreal observation hockey, and how people can develop their hockeys into like really specific ways to do different things. Like Enel, he could sense and hear things over a long range difference. I believe Madame Charlie, her seeing the future was an observation hockey like that, and maybe Don Chinjao, his observation hockey leads him to connect people and identities even under masks and stuff like that. With this cliffhanger, this leaves a couple questions for me. One, does Don Chinjao still hate Luffy because of his hatred for Garp? He says he's hated Garp for almost killing him for all this time until his grandchildren's generation. Does this mean his grandchildren's generation is here now and that he will no longer hate Garp and therefore no longer hate Luffy? So is he going to try to fight Luffy or do something about that? And how is Cavendish going to react? I know he hates the worst generation, and so he's probably going to fight Luffy or something's going to go down. I just can't wait to see how this is going to unfold. Luffy really has enemies everywhere right now, and I'm just super excited to see what's going to happen. So rate, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the new video quality and the cutting and the intro. This is going to be coming, and hey, more subscribers and I'll put up an AMV. I've been putting a lot of time into it, a lot of effort. It is looking fantastic. Not quite done, but once I hit the mark that I've been putting on all my videos, I will put up that AMV. Well, have yourself a wonderful day. Go Mukage, signing out.